So a lot of people think that the secret to an old money summer style wardrobe is the clothing. Classic pieces like blazers, polo shirts, linen shirt jackets, linen trousers, chinos, tailored shorts, and of course accessories like pocket squares, neckties, and classically styled sunglasses. But gents, having the right clothing is only part of the equation. Seriously gents, you gotta know how to mix and match, how to put the pieces together. So what are the rules for building a classic, old money summer wardrobe for men? Well gentlemen, that's the subject of today's video. Now today's video, gents, is brought to you by John Henrik. If you want simple, if you want clean, if you want elegance, go over and check out their website. Now the company was founded by two best friends that had a love for classic menswear. These guys are all about quality, craftsmanship, and what I love is a bit of creativity because they've taken the classics and they've improved upon them. And you guys know I pay attention to the details. As a former custom clothier, I look at the fabric, I look at the material, I look at the fit. And what I love about John Henrik is simply everything I get seems to fit almost perfect right off the rack. And even though I'm a classic style guy at heart, I do like it when they bring in something new. And this is what I love about John Henrik. When you go over to the website, they're always dropping new styles, new looks, new colors. And another thing I love about John Henrik, all the patterns. Right here, I've got a Glen check in the jacket, beautiful blue. In addition, look at this shirt right here. A little bit of floral right in there, really a simple color combination, but the pattern really makes it pop. Wearing it with a khaki pair of chinos, a classic combination. I really like this look. What do you guys think? And even with that pattern shirt, I can change it up by going with a darker blue, solid, double-breasted jacket. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And again, you can find this over at John Henrik. And of course, I've got the best deal on the web for you. Use that link in the description of today's video. Go over to John Henrik and check them out. Now, to have an old money style this summer, these are the 7 rules that you need to know. First up, quality over quantity. It's better to spend more and get something you wear 100 times and you absolutely love than to be able to get something on sale that you never wear. Next up, timeless style over trends. Old money is not about getting into the latest fashion. It's about wearing something that, yeah, was in style 10 years ago and will be in style 10 years from now. Next up, focus on fit. Seriously, guys, it is that simple. Make sure everything is adjusted to fit you, or when you're buying it off the rack, it fits you really close to perfect. And seriously, gents, this is the biggest mistake I see so many guys make. They go out there and they spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on expensive clothing and they don't get it adjusted to fit their body. Spend that extra bit of money or do it yourself and make sure that the clothing fits if you want that old money summer aesthetic. Next up, embrace subtlety. This means understated elegance. You're not wearing clothing that's screaming for attention. Everything you're wearing is high quality, but it just simply looks good on you. You look great. In fact, the compliment you want is that people don't remember exactly what you wore. All they knew is that you were well put together and that you just exuded class. Well, how to specifically do that? Well, make sure the clothing you choose has a conservative color palette. Basically, the majority of the clothing in your wardrobe is going to be made up of neutral and versatile colors. We're talking navy, beige, gray, and white. Now, of course, you can bring in other colors to add a bit of spice, but those 4 hues right there are going to work really well with each other, and they're so interchangeable. And that's what we're shooting for here. Versatile clothing you can spend a little bit more money on that at the same time exudes elegance and class. Next up, you want to accessorize wisely. Think of your accessories as links in a chain, and a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If you mess up on the accessories, it can ruin the entire outfit. So if a tie is required, don't go cheap. Make sure to get a silk necktie. When you're wearing a jacket, make sure to go with a simple pocket square fold. You don't have to be over the top here. Right here, a simple, clean presidential fold with white. With your sunglasses, they don't have to have a big logo on them. No, just go for a classic design that works for the frame of your face. And finally, you're going to build confidence through practice. This means simply putting in the reps, getting used to wearing the clothing. So many guys think that jackets, that dressing a little bit nicer, going for that old money aesthetic somehow means the clothing is going to be uncomfortable. Gents, it's not uncomfortable. It's just unfamiliar, especially when you go for higher quality pieces. In fact, I find that dressing well is more comfortable than dressing down. I almost feel naked dressing down nowadays. And when you get to that sense of point, you know you've put in the reps. It's like going to the gym. Initially, you feel out of place there. You don't know what all those machines are. But once you put in the reps, once you've been to the gym a few dozen times, you just know where things are and it feels good to go. Now here in a second, I'm going to show you a variety of outfit combinations and why they've got that old money summer aesthetic. But before I do that, I want to share with you a secret to the old money summer aesthetic, and that is understanding patterns. You see, when it comes to old money style, there's a bit of a language here. A lot of clothing and the history on this is about separating classes. I know, unfair, but that's just simply the history on this. Nowadays, though, it's actually knowing the terminology and the language and how pieces go together. And one of the most confusing parts, I think, for most guys is patterns. How do you match? What do you go with? So the simplest rule I can tell you with pattern is to keep it simple. When you're starting off, the majority of your clothing should be in solid colors. That being said, in a typical combination of a jacket, shirt, and trousers, bringing in at least one pattern can really enhance the overall look. Now, for the majority of men out there, I'm going to say we'll start with simple patterns in the shirt. You want to look for a variety of stripes going up and down, usually keeping the shirts blue, white, then bring in blue stripes on a white backdrop. You can bring in a variety of other colors, but usually the stripes going up and down is the simplest pattern to first add. Another easy place to bring in a pattern is going to be the necktie and the pocket square. We're also going to see a lot of unique patterns in these particular items, such as dots, as paisleys, and other simple, repeating, small geometric patterns. But if you're watching this video, I know you want to take it to the next level. So how to start bringing in patterns on jackets. Understand the various patterns you're going to see out there. First up, we've got herringbone. Now, what I love about herringbone is it adds a bit of visual interest. From a distance, it looks like a solid in most cases, but as you get up closer, all of a sudden, it's got this very subtle bit of texture to it. Basically, what it does is adds a bit of interest to the clothing without being overwhelming. Now, you'll find it in a variety of different jackets. You'll even find it in suits. What I love is herringbone is incredibly versatile. You can dress it up. To a degree, you can dress it down if the herringbone has a variation, kind of a high contrast with it. You'll see this with a little bit of gray and black or black and white and that type of combination. But you also will see it in shirts as well. Now, normally, a herringbone is going to be a heavier weave. So if you do see it, understand it's not always going to be great for summer unless the jacket is unlined, which I'll get into in a second. But on shirts, sometimes it can be too heavy of a weave to wear during the summer. That being said, it's a beautiful pattern that every man should look to add into his wardrobe. I mentioned earlier unlined jackets. Let me go ahead and show you on the inside what we mean by an unlined jacket. So an unlined jacket, notice right in here, there is no lining on the back. And this is important because it makes the jacket cooler, perfect for the summer, just allows you to be able to wear it and be able to breathe, and it's going to feel cooler. In addition, I want to point out that unlined jackets in general are rarer because they're more expensive to manufacture. Basically, you got to make sure it looks good on the inside, which costs a manufacturer time, and it really is just something you see on higher quality garments. Next up, we've got Glen Pad. Now, this is a woven pattern featuring small and large checks, typically in muted colors like gray, beige, or blue. Now, you'll occasionally see it in shirts, and what I like is these shirts are oftentimes lightweight, so great for summer, especially if you're not going to be wearing a jacket. And you roll the sleeves up, just to really gives a bit of texture to it. But I love it in jackets. Again, it's going to be usually a lighter weave, so it's great for summer wear and just simply adds texture with, again, not overwhelming the eyes. With this pattern, you get sophistication and depth. If you want an old money type of summer look, definitely find a sports jacket, maybe even a shirt in this pattern. So that being said about patterns, let's get into outfits. First up, we've got this brown linen jacket with a white cotton shirt. Notice the pocket square isn't grabbing a whole lot of attention, got a small subtle pattern, and then we've got the light colored cotton chinos. Love the jacket here, gives a bit of contrast, brings the outfit together, and right here, this is just screaming old money aesthetic. And if you can't tell, this is the outfit that I have put together as well. And similar to the model we see in the photo, I've got the brown hair, the brown jacket. When you can repeat colors like that, it just simply brings the outfit together and makes it look really good. Now, what if you've got a little bit darker complexion? You wanted to change it up. Let's look at that same outfit, but let's bring in a necktie and a blue linen jacket. All of a sudden, see, you hit the higher contrast, pretty much got the same trousers. The pocket square now has higher contrast, and that higher contrast right there is gonna make the formality of the outfit dress up a bit, especially with that jacket being darker. But look right here, this is still a perfect summer old money type of feel outfit. Now, what if you want to keep it really simple? You're not about jackets. It's way too hot for that. And you don't need to dress up for it. Guys, look at this brown linen shirt here. Again, we've got the same trousers. He's wearing it untucked, which is fine for this combination. He rolls up the sleeves a bit. Just simple, clean, elegant. Now, really quick, you may be wondering, what's the difference between linen and cotton? Cotton is the most common material out there, and it's got a lot of great properties, but both of these come from plants. Linen is actually older, been used by man for a longer period of time, but one of the issues with linen is that it wrinkles a lot. This is because of the shape of the actual fiber. That being said, it does have the amazing property of actually wicking away moisture, and it's more breathable. Hence why so many people love linen for the summer. Now, what if you want the hybrid of a jacket and a shirt? Well, look at shirt jackets. And right here, we've got a linen shirt jacket. What I also like about this combination is he's going with a light color on top of a light color. Notice this t-shirt is simple, very similar in color to the linen jacket, and then he's got those dark colored trousers. Me, I really like keeping my trousers dark because just practicality purposes. I've got 7 kids in my house. Think we're all over the place, a baby. You sit in things, darker colors are just easier to wash stains out of. That being said, I love lighter colors up on top because they do a good job of reflecting off, the hot rays of the sun and keeping me cooler. Now, what if you wanted to flip that look? Okay, look at this combination right here. We've got that linen shirt jacket in a blue, and then we've got a little bit darker of a blue. So I like that combination there. Not too much contrast. And then he's got the lighter trousers on the bottom. This really works for this gentleman's complexion, and overall, again, a great summer look. If this is you, if this is what you want to go for, yeah, run with it. But again, you don't have to overthink this. Again, you want a classic white shirt with blue stripes. That is a classic look. As you can see here, very elegant. This guy holding the jacket over to the side because it's obviously a little bit hot. You can roll the sleeves up, still look good. To me, it has a little bit more of a business aesthetic to it, but I think anybody could pull this off. That being said, with the right confidence, the right attitude, the right sunglasses, I think you could pull this off. Now, what about polos? So these soft collared shirts that derive from the Henley are going to be in general more casual than dress shirts or even casual button downs because of the length of the sleeves. That being said, you've got a lot of great combinations here. And when I'm looking at a polo, I want to make sure it's the right length so I can wear this untucked, which is how most polos should be worn. In addition, I love it around the sleeves when there's a bit of an elastic. Now, the most common colors are going to be whites and blues, but don't sleep on greens or browns. Again, depending on your natural complexion, you may find that these color combinations just help you stand out from the crowd, and they'll work with a lot of the jackets I talked about earlier. And you probably noticed that these polo shirts are a bit more elegant looking. That's because they're made from a merino wool. This enables them to have a really beautiful drape. Just make sure that you clean and you take care of them properly. Now, what about terry shirts? So these are very casual. They're made from a toweling fabric, oftentimes coming from cotton, but the overall styling of them really sets them apart from a lot of other shirts. They don't work for every type of body build, so you need to make sure that, hey, you have either the guns or you've got a slim profile. If you're carrying a bit of weight around the midsection, probably not a great look for you, but for a lot of, thinner, or maybe if you're really well built, this particular style can look great on you. Now, as that we're talking about summer style for old money, why in the world would we talk about sweaters? Because you're spending some time maybe out on the boat, out on the water. Let's face it, even if you're out in the desert at night, things get cooler. What's nice about a zip, 3/4 zip, maybe even a full front zip, is this is easy to take on, put off, and it's a lot more flexible for a lot of people than a jacket. Worst case, you're with a woman, you can loan her your sweater. Point being is you're going to come off as a gentleman. Sweaters are also great for creating that layering look, and they do a good job of bringing the outfit together. And even the simple t-shirt can get an old money treatment. This t-shirt right here, made with a combination of cashmere wool and cotton. That blended combination, what does it do? It gives a bit of thickness to the t-shirt. It also gives it a beautiful drape. Now, that may not sound like much, but when you put this thing on, you are going to feel the difference, and you are actually going to see. And that's the key with old money style, is it's not just the individual items, but it's how you put them together, the materials that they're made from, and just the overall presentation that you're able to create when you combine things properly. Now, gents, if you enjoyed this video, you want to go check out the other video we did on how to dress old money style. That one is a foundational video where I go into more detail about color palettes and how to put different outfits together. So go check it out. Click on the video right here.